let's keep moving. So I want to watch this. I'm curious to see what this happens. I don't really know who this person is. I just know that the right wing media is kind of imploding over her. So apparently she used to be on um one of those big right wing shows. I forget what it was called. Let's do some background. That's Brett Cooper. Yeah, I don't know who she is. I just know that everyone's talking about her, so I'm curious. Uh she was the Daily Wire, which is that like the Matt Walsh show or whatever? Ben Shapiro. Okay. Um I saw a funny thing how someone was talking about how like no, we're not even gonna go into that. But apparently there's like some big drama where she left the show, got replaced by her best friend. Hey Kitty, how you doing? What's up, Charlie? This is my best friend right here. And then like they all started trying to destroy her reputation. And I think it's really, really interesting how the right is super anti cancel culture, but yet this has been exactly how they've been acting towards her. And I really just want to hear her side of things. And I find it interesting that she's like, let's talk about right wing cancel culture. Because they've been like, they are scared of this woman. That's why I'm so interested in her. Because they have been trying to sink her ship before it even left port. So I really want to know what's going on here. I'm just curious. Um, that's Brett Cooper, how you say it, part of the Daily Wire. But yeah, so her channel was like commentary or something like that. I don't know specifically what it did, but based off the name, I guess probably like uh viewer reactions to stuff, and then she would react to their reactions, and now I'm gonna react to her reacting to uh getting canceled by her own co-workers. And apparently the woman who used to be her best friend, uh she left with a lot of speculations, got uh got tricked or fired or whatnot. Yeah. So I want to hear her side of the story. I don't know if she's going to talk specifically about what happened, because one of the craziest things that a lot of people were pointing out is that like the people on the Daily Wire were saying like, okay, well, why isn't she talking about any of this? Well, a lot of people point out that she probably signed an NDA and a non-compete clause, so she might not even be allowed to talk about it, and they would know that she wasn't really allowed to talk about it. So that's kind of fucking evil. If you're going to be like, yeah, so obviously we're right because they're not saying anything to dispute when you like literally made them sign a legal document that says they can't say anything. That's kind of fucked. But she can't NDA, so she doesn't say much. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I just read you're wrong. I thought you meant she like can't sign an NDA, because what one thing that a lot of people don't know, which is how like scammers and people like P Diddy actually get you, is they tell you like, oh, you signed this NDA. If you tell anyone I raped you, then we're gonna sue you for $3 million. Well, actually, NDAs cannot cover any type any type of criminal behavior. If the behavior is against the law, then that voids the NDA. Now, you could argue that defamation of character is illegal. So, interestingly enough, if she did sign an NDA and they went around character assassinating her, that would ironically potentially release her from the NDA. But I do want to see what she has to say, because I like to hear both sides of every story, or as many sides of every story as I can find. Or well, it depends. It sometimes you can kind of sign certain contracts, especially if a parent signs for you. But yeah, there are, if you're just like a 15-year-old girl at a Diddy party, no, and your parents aren't there, yeah, you absolutely, nothing you sign there is legally enforceable at all. In fact, if you did sign anything there, if you can find that, it's probably evidence that could help support claims that a crime was committed. It's like exactly the opposite, you know? Because it's proof that you were there.
What's up, guys, and welcome to
Okay, that's loud.
Brett Cooper Show. I am so happy that you guys found me over here on this new channel. I am so excited to start this new chapter with you guys. We have been hard at work behind the scenes, literally boots on the ground, me and my 80-year-old neighborhood grandpa putting shiplap up on the ceilings to cover up my 90s popcorn ceilings that I thought you guys would not find aesthetically pleasing on a set. We're literally in a room at my house. We put this all.
I see why she was so popular, because I've seen clips of the New Girl. I haven't really seen I've just heard people saying that like the New Girl copied her style and stuff, but I've seen some clips of the New Girl, and the New Girl just doesn't have it, you know what I'm saying? The thing that allows people to do this, like, I don't have it the way she does, but also I wasn't on like a $1 million grossing show for like political pundits and stuff. I'm sure if I were to practice my craft, I could definitely get up there and rattle things off my tongue like that, but also that's not really my style either. So I feel like that's part of why people don't like the New Girl, is because one, she doesn't really have the same X factor, and two, it feels like she's just trying to copy Brett Cooper's style. Whereas if you really want to be successful in any kind of commentary space, you need to absolutely have a little bit of a distinct style. But she's a little high energy for me. I don't feel like I'd always be able to listen to this, but maybe it's just with everything that's going on and the fact that she's been working on this, she's really excited. So who knows? I can definitely see why she's so popular though. One, the aesthetics, and let's just put it at that. Two, it's just, she's very personable. Definitely, I don't necessarily want to say it's off the top. Like, it could be a script. Not that that's any kind of my leg's falling asleep, cat. Not that that's any kind of diss or anything. That's just most of these YouTube shows or just commentary shows in general are scripted. Even if it's not a script, they probably at least have an outline. They don't just react to things randomly like I do. So, but even if it is scripted, her delivery is incredible, and the script is amazing. Everything she's saying is entertaining and engaging already, and we're only 30 seconds in. So I can see why she was very popular. Let's see what she actually has to say now, besides like her 80-year-old neighbor helping her put this together.
It's all together. Anyway, I am so excited to bring this new show to you and show you guys what we have been working on. So my goal with this new show is to foster understanding, to go deeper and extract substance in the stories and issues that matter most to us, the issues that impact us on a daily personal basis.
She's very
I have always said this, but I want to reiterate
expressive with her facial her facial movements, her hands, her whole body moves when she speaks.
But I do not take for granted the fact that you guys take hours out of
What's
your
up,
busy
Kitty?
lives to watch my videos.
Why are you
And I
staring
wanna
at me
make
like
sure
that?
That every single second of that time matters. I want to make sure that every single video I put out leaves you feeling more confident or empowered or smarter or more inquisitive about the world. And so because of that, we are going to be doing less frequent episodes. We're not going to be chasing the news cycle as much. I want to make sure that every single episode is intentional. This first season, in my eyes, is all about understanding where we've come from, where we're heading, and trying to fix the obvious disconnect between the generations, between values, and so much more. So I hope you are ready for even more hard truths, deeper dives than we have ever gone before, insightful interviews, and of course, lots of laughter and levity, because it would not be a Brett Cooper production if we were not having fun through it all. But for this first episode of season 1 of the Brett Cooper Show, I thought that we could just keep it simple and keep it between us, and I realized I just said keep it simple, but this episode kind of is not simple at all. It actually might get me into trouble, but we do need to talk about how the right runs.
Okay. Either she's off the top, or that's like insane level of script writing to do the whole keep it simple stuff. First of all, so I don't forget to post the video. There's the video. I generally like every video unless I have a reason to dislike it, for 2 reasons. One is because YouTube likes to show you videos that you've already seen over again. It's like, here, watch this, and then you like get like 2 minutes into it and you're like, wait, I watched this like 2 months ago. Why are you making me watch this again? So I like react to every video, or dislike react to every video I watch. I default like to all of them, because just for the creator putting the effort in to put it up there, share their time with me, share their energy, you have to earn the dislike. It's the way I approach it, you know?
Runs the risk of literally losing everything.
Oh, but I'm sure she's excited for this, because based off of what she was, just the subtext for me that I picked up on is that there were a lot of things on the Daily Wire that she wanted to talk about that she didn't really get the chance to talk about. And I can see why, because it's very much a right-wing show. So it's like you get any of those moderate viewpoints in there, or maybe say you kind of agree with something the left did, or even worse, are opposed to something the right did, then they probably wouldn't want you talking about that because it's going to hurt their viewership. Whereas there are lots of people that just don't really care about viewership and are trying to get their message out. And I'm not saying that's exactly where she's at with it, but I'm sure just in general, she probably feels like there's a huge weight lifted off her, where finally, like, she gets to decide what she talks about. And it's not like some big network where some salt and pepper beard and a stuffy suit is deciding what her show is.
We've worked for if we continue down a path of mimicking the left's toxicity, aka we need to talk about right-wing cancel culture.
I feel like she's taking direct shots at what's his name? The guy. I don't remember his name. The guy that started the Daily Wire shit. Or like Ben Shapiro. Because he's like the most toxic dude on the right. Like, the thing is, he's actually not wrong about a lot of the stuff he says. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff he says that he is wrong. But like, there's a lot of stuff that he actually gets kind of right, and even really right. He just presents it in the most obnoxious and hateful way possible that makes everybody stop listening to his point before he even gets to it.
But before we do, and you guys know the drill, make sure that you are subscribed to this new YouTube channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course, ring that notification bell to stay up to date on all new episodes of The Brett Cooper Show. And if you guys want even more content and ad-free episodes, click the link in the description below to check out my new subscriber-only platform. There'll be lots of information below. Would love for you guys to check it out. But we have far more pressing matters to attend to. All right, so I've been thinking about this topic since New Year's Eve, and I've known that I want to cover this on my first episode because it just keeps coming up. And it specifically came up on New Year's Eve after the actress and comedian
It's definitely
did a set on CNN.
It's definitely multiple takes because, or at least that part was a separate take because the audio is slightly different.
Came up on New Year's Eve after the actress and comedian Whitney Cummings did a set on CNN's New Year's Eve show. And if you missed it, just take a look.
2024 election fried our brains. The Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Kamala was forced she was patented by Pfizer or Moderna, whichever one's, oh God. Andy just gave me a very scary look. No! I thought being a mom would mean that less people, oh God. So
Wait.
hard, you'd think she'd hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright.
That one was good. What's the other one?
On us so hard, you'd think she was patented by Pfizer. Oh God.
Bro, these are fire.
Scary look. No! I thought being a mom would mean that less people would want to come see me. I'm now playing, you know, like 3,000 seat theater,
awesome.
which is about the viewership of CNN these days.
I mean, it's so great.
Oh
Like,
my
this entire
God.
set, she is basically shocked they have not cut her off. You can tell that she's uncomfortable. She's like very tentative. She's taking a risk, making all of these jokes that are incredibly honest. They're incredibly genuine and insightful about the state of our world and the state of politics. And people loved it. Like, she went on for like 5 minutes and everybody was, again, literally in shock that she was not cut off. And of course, she immediately went viral on X. Some people had never heard of her before. They were so excited to find, you know, another
No, that was
honest
fire.
comedian who was willing to push boundaries and make these kinds of very, you know, relevant jokes.
you like
But
that,
what
Kitty?
makes the story interesting is that
You just
people
like
turned
cuddles,
on
huh?
her as quickly as they fell for her because they realized that 5 years ago when COVID was raging, she used to be very pro-vaccine and that she even had vaccine mandates for some of her live shows during that 2020-2021 period.
Uh-oh.
You have some tweets here. You can see her talking about the vaccine, saying that, God, we need a vaccine. Can we make a vaccine now? Go, we need a vaccine. Chop, chop on that vaccine. Like, she was tweeting about this constantly. And immediately, people on X started calling her out. They were calling her a grifter and a fraud, saying that she was an opportunist, that she was taking advantage of this time in culture when things were shifting to the right to try to make a name for herself. They literally lost their damn minds. And again, this happened in a matter of hours. I watched her videos go viral. I was like, man, this girl is so cool. I've seen her on TV. And then suddenly everybody hated her. And it makes no sense to me. Like, they were angry that she had not issued a formal apology before getting up and doing a comedy set. Like, they were angry that her track record wasn't perfect. Like, guys, nobody in the world has a perfect track record. And more than anything, I think that we should focus on their actions. I mean, that's how I evaluate everything in my life.
So I agree with her so far, but this is a little bit too high energy for me. I don't know if I can sit through this whole video. It's so fast. We'll see what happens
Whether
though.
it is a politician or my meat delivery service, which is why I trust Good Ranchers. Guys, did you know that 85% of grass-fed meat in our stores is actually not from the U.S.? That's because the country of origin law was actually repealed. Prioritize your family's health, make things more convenient, and support a company that actually follows through on their word. And I understand that people are upset because being angry about COVID and everything that happened during that fever dream of a couple of years, it's understandable. Awful things happened. I mean, the lockdowns, the vaccines, the being separated from our families, kids being kept out of school, it was a travesty. But we have moved on from that. And also we need to be real because think about who we just elected. Think about who we spent the last couple of years propping up and
I see why people kind of call her a female Ben Shapiro. Because one of the things that I saw when people were talking about this was they like made a meme where it was like how all the people on Ben Shapiro kind of like literally looked like him, like had a similar face structure, but it's more than just that. It's the really fast, I'm gonna throw 100 different words at you before you have time to think about them. So you're just trying to keep up and it makes me sound really smart type of personality. Now, I'm not saying that means she's not smart or that Ben Shapiro's not smart. It's just I don't feel that's a very good way to convey information personally. I think it's much better to take your time and give people to process the information. This isn't education. This is entertainment, plain and simple.
Encouraging and fighting for Donald Trump, the man who first ushered in lockdowns, the man who encouraged us all to get the vaccine and is still saying how amazing it is. So we can support him and elect him and stand behind him 100%, knowing that he isn't perfect, he doesn't have a perfect track record, but a comedian that has changed her mind and is now bravely going on CNN to
Not that I'm saying I disagree with her.
Based jokes. That's not appropriate because she didn't apologize. It makes no sense. Like so many conservatives that we follow, that we all love, were misled or wrong about COVID. My mother, my tinfoil hat, Alex Jones watching mother who's literally building.
She doesn't even take a breath, because it's literally jump cuts. The moment she finishes one thought, it just jump cuts to the next thought.
Appropriate because she didn't apologize. It makes no sense. Like so many conservatives that we follow, that we all love, were misled or wrong about COVID.
This is TikTok crack for conservatives.
Alex Jones watching mother who's literally building a bunker. I remember getting grounded in 2020 because I went to the beach with my friends in Los Angeles.
The slow zoom in.
Go out into the garage.
It's literally all intended just to keep you hooked to it, right? So if you watch, the video is very slowly zooming in, and she's got these. I mentioned earlier about her body motions and how expressive she is. It's literally all, I don't know if it's like intentionally designed this way, but it's all fit together to keep you hooked on it, to keep you addicted. Zoom in and no cleavage. Zoom in to 1 out of 10. Yeah. Well, that is partially because it's like more pandering to the conservative side of things. You know, if she were a liberal, she'd probably be doing this in a bikini in a hot tub.
Really building a bunker. I remember getting grounded.
It was a semi-joke. Yeah, I know. Mine was a joke too.
She was like, "You're gonna kill me. You are gonna kill me. You need
but
to go
not
out
really.
into the garage."
Also a semi-joke.
She was grounded because she thought that this was so serious, and it's okay that people were wrong. And that
there's another jump cut.
We genuinely,
it's like
most people had no idea.
They literally. She doesn't even get the chance to take a breath. It's just immediately from one thought to the other. There's no time to process anything.
She like literally was grounded because she thought that this was so serious. And it's okay that people were wrong and that things changed because we genuinely, most people, had no idea what was going on and what was actually true, what was real. So that is one point that I want to make. But most importantly, isn't the goal to change people's minds and bring them over to the other side and show them the light? Like that is.
So here's the thing. She slows down when she comes out with the Barnum statements, which if you don't know what Barnum statements are, they're kind of like statements that appeal to everyone or everyone can agree with. Let's get a good example. They're from the Barnum Circus. The Barnum effect. Barnum statements, also known as Forer statements, are intentionally vague and general descriptions that people often interpret as personally meaningful. These statements are designed to apply to almost everyone, yet individuals tend to believe they are uniquely tailored to them. Here are key characteristics and examples of Barnum statements. Vagueness. The statements are broad and open to interpretation, allowing individuals to find personal relevance. For example, you are sometimes extroverted and sociable, while at other times you are introverted and reserved. Literally can apply to almost anyone. Flattery. Many statements include positive traits that most people would like to believe about themselves, making them more appealing. For interests, you have an intense desire to get people to accept and like you. Universal experiences. Barnum statements often reference emotions, thoughts, or experiences common to almost everyone, such as sometimes you give too much effort on projects that don't work out. A mix and positive and negative. To add credibility, statements may include a mix of positive and negative traits. An example is you prefer change and do not like to feel limited in what you can do. Understanding recognizes characteristics can help you avoid being misled by Barnum statements. And we basically have, like, that's what this section is. Let's go back to the previous
Literally was grounded because she thought
jump cut.
this was so serious. And it's okay that people were wrong and that things changed, because we genuinely, most people, had no idea what was going on and what was actually true, what was real. So that is one.
Okay, so all zoomed in really fast. She's just throwing a whole bunch of shit at you that you don't even have time to process. And then she slows it down for this part, which is basically, we only heard the very beginning of it, but the very beginning of it was a Barnum statement where it just appeals to everyone. It's because it's like, put yourself in the shoes of a very liberal leftist. Listen to this and tell me if you think they'd agree with this statement. Is it on? Okay, let's turn it on.
Had no idea what was going on and what was
This,
actually
not this
true,
one.
what was real. So that
Well,
is
okay,
one
that would
point
work
I
too.
wanna make. But most importantly,
Most
isn't the
importantly,
goal to change people's minds,
she slows
to
down.
bring them over to the other
Isn't the
side and
goal-
show them the light? Like, that is what my goal is. But now people are seeming
and that's the Barnum statement. Everyone would agree with that, right? The goal, maybe not everyone. There are some people that want to see other people fail, that really partake in Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude is taking pleasure from other people's pain. But most people, especially people that are trying to be good people, regardless of whether they are the staunchest conservative or the most leftist liberal, would say that their goal is to change people's minds and
the
bring
other
them
side
to the
and
light.
show them the light. Like, that
And
is
show
what
them the light.
My goal is. But now people are seemingly upset when that happens because these individuals who have come over weren't right all along. Like, we spent 10 years fighting tooth and nail, proving people wrong, fighting back against cancellation.
All this is still-
dispelling allegations about us, about our political party, about things going on in the
Okay,
world,
now she's getting
exposing
fast
corruption
again.
and lies day after day after day, trying to convince people. I thought that that was the goal. I actually look at Whitney Cummings as a huge win, like a bold win, a refreshing acknowledgement.
That was the failure. I'm gonna borrow a statement from Asmik. I don't know where he got this from, but it definitely makes a lot of sense. You can't reason people out of a mentality they reason themselves into. I don't know if that's exactly how he says it, but basically the whole idea is if someone is like an emotional, distraught mess, you can't use logic to ground them because they don't operate on logic, or at least they are not operating in logic in that moment. So when someone's flying off the handle, doing all this stuff, they don't really care about the corruption and lies
Trying to convince people. I thought that
because
that
they're
was the
not going to
goal.
be
I actually look at
convinced,
Whitney Cummings as
regardless
a
of what
huge
you say.
win, a bold win, a refreshing acknowledgement of how far we've come, how many people have bravely, dipped their toe onto the other side, who have admitted that they were wrong and that they've now seen the light. That is objectively a very good thing. And I commend her, and we should all commend her, for having the bravery to admit when she was wrong and take a step to the other side. And again, a lot of people think that this is a grift. A lot of people think that it's not real.
I don't like that whole us versus them mentality either. It's the other side. How about she's constantly framing it as, oh, they're wrong, we're right. And that just doesn't sit well with me.
That she hasn't actually changed her mind. I completely disagree. Like, you can literally go back over the last couple of years and you can see where and how her mind started to change. One of my good friends, Chris Williamson, he has a podcast, Modern Wisdom. She has been on his show twice in the last couple of years. And in those episodes, she goes in depth about how being a mother changed her. She became a mother to a son, which made her rethink culture and society, specifically thinking about gender roles and masculinity, completely realizing that she has been lied to. And that was kind of a snowball effect into her changing her mind about everything else. She also did a podcast appearance more recently where she actually hit this political transformation head on. Just take a listen.
We are in a time where if you are on the left and you don't criticize your party, how much do you even care about your party? I don't think the left is as liberal as it used to. It's like the left became the party of censorship and my body, my choice, but you have to take this vaccine, and my body, my choice, pro-choice party, but you don't have a choice in your candidate.
So again, you are
So she's right about that. I think it's insane that the left, which is supposed to be the liberal progressive party, is the party that supports big pharma. It's the party that supports censorship. It's the party that is trying to do away with body autonomy. It makes no sense. But there's a lot of things I could say about the Republican Party being hypocrites as well. They didn't bring up examples, so we're not going to bring up examples right now. What I really want to focus on is something else entirely. This is extremely common, this flip-flop, especially with women for some reason. I don't know why, but especially with women political, I don't want to say grifters, but commentators. Women political commentators, where they go super hard on one side and then they flip to the other side. And it happens over and over again. And it happens with men sometimes, but it's usually more effeminate men, kind of not leaders, more the ones that they just they go along with the flow, so to speak. Like, no one has flipped sides more time than Bernie Sanders on just about every single topic out there. So there's like two reasons it happens, as far as I can tell. One is that they're not all of them. This is one portion. They're just grifters, which is what I see Bernie Sanders as. He always says the socially correct thing. And that's why people love him, because he just says what they want him to hear. He just says what people want to hear. He knows what to say to make a lot of people be like, yeah, you know what? He's right. Maybe he's not such a bad guy. He's very good at doing that. He's the epitome of a career politician. He has made a living speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Now, the other type is the fervent true believer. And in a way, that's more dangerous, because what they do is they absolutely 100% believe in the leftist communist agenda, and they will do whatever they can to help it come into reality. So then once they realize that that's all a careful manipulation and half that shit is bullshit and lies, they go flip to the other side, because it's like, oh, well, if half that shit was bullshit and lies, then like it all must be bullshit and lies. And then when they flip to the other side, they do the same thing. They become a conservative neo-Nazi. And I'm just using extreme examples of both to try and put it into perspective here. So they go from being this leftist communist to this conservative Nazi, and they're exactly as zealous on the other side as they were on the first side. And it's just as dangerous both ways, because you know what's going to happen? the other side lies too. They both fucking lie to you. And half the shit was a lie on one side, and the other shit is a lie on the other. And the other half of the shit is the lie on the other side. Both parties primarily lie to and abuse the people they claim to be helping the most. So you have the Democratic Party. They talk about being the party that's for workers, the party that's for minorities, I forget the other one I was gonna say, but we'll just talk about those two. The party that's gonna end gun violence, right? That's like the big one. So first of all, look at all these big companies that come down more on the Democratic side of things. You have Big Pharma, which is insane. Let's look at some numbers here. What's the guy that runs Amazon again? Jeff something, right? No, not the owner. I want Jeff Bezos. Yeah, there we go. Oh, okay. So Jeff Bezos. I have no idea what we're gonna see here. Campaign contributions. Now, most of these guys actually, they donate evenly to both sides because they just want whoever wins to be in their pocket. That's generally what I expect to find. But let's see what what's gonna happen. So oh, and dude, this is what makes it so hard to find. So super PACs are the most broken, ridiculous thing that ever happened because this is what basically allows corporations to buy politicians. They're limited to Bezos used to, they're limited to a maximum amount of $5,000. But what they do is they just make a dozen different super PACs. And then they donate $1,000 to a dozen different super PACs. You want to play with the cap, Kitty? He likes playing with these water caps. You still sitting on my lap, or you want to go chase the cat? He doesn't want to chase the cat. All right. I don't know who these people are, but I don't feel like chasing down this super PAC and figuring out who. We'll look at these two. Look at what that is, and then what that is. Cory Gardner, that's a person. Friends of Maria, that's going to be specifically for a person named Maria. Friends of Jason Chaffetz. All right. $1.3 million through this super PAC. 10,000 of it we're refunding. Total of it spent. Where do we see who they sent it to? Spending. So, by the way, this is $1.5 million doled out in amounts that are less than 5,000. A lot of these are only 2,000. But let's go Google some of these names. Sydney Calgamer Dove. Democrat. Sheila Surplus McCormick. Based on her demographics, I'm gonna say Democrat. Democrat. Scott Fitzgerald. That's not the right Scott Fitzgerald. Representative Scott Fitzgerald. A Republican. So that's one Republican, two Democrats. Pete Stauber. Law enforcement, probably Republican, but let's see. Republican. So two Republicans, two Democrats. Well, that's not a whole name. We'll do Catherine Clark. And we have I'm guessing Democrat based on who she's working with. Yeah, political party Democratic. So we're at 3 Democrats. That's 2 Republicans. And let's see what this one is. 4 Democrats, 2 Republicans. Don Davis. Democrat. 5 Democrats, 2 Republicans. This is an Amazon super PAC. Now it could even up, but first of all, there's 2 things to take notice. One, first of all, is that it's donating to both sides, both the Republican and the Democratic Party. It's literally taking advantage of every politician it can get its hands on. Second of all, this particular super PAC, I'm not saying we can't chase down another Amazon super PAC and see where it goes. That would be more leaning to the other way. But this one is particularly interesting because it proves my point that I was going for, which is that point 1, the Democrats are supposed to be the pro-worker party, yet they're taking a shitload of money from one of the most anti-worker corporations in the entire world. And all I'm going to say about the gun stuff is I know a lot about firearms. I've been shooting since I was like 7 years old. Started in the Boy Scouts. I'm a certified pistol instructor. And if you look at which cities these mass shootings happen in, it's almost always Democratic cities. Chicago has the worst gun crime of pretty much any city in the United States. It's absolutely insane. New York City, really bad gun crime too. Very strict gun laws. You're pretty much only allowed to carry a gun there if you're a celebrity. Not even like most street owners are allowed to get firearms, like most street shop workers. So like you can be, I think Donald Trump has a permit in New York City, and if he doesn't anymore, he did at one point. And he's like the last person that needs one because he can just hire armed security guards to follow him everywhere. But the bodega owner that needs to like put his cash in a bag and carry it to the bank to deposit in a deposit envelope at the end of the night, he's not allowed to carry a gun to protect his entire, what might be his entire income for that week, you know? So it's pretty fucked. Now, I said I was going to rail on both sides. When you look at the Republican side, you have one of the biggest things is that they're anti-welfare. Well, when you look at a breakdown of who receives the most welfare in the United States, it's rural Republican districts. They're anti-immigrant, yet they claim to be the more patriotic of the two parties, but the patriots that built this entire country were immigrants, right? So my point here with this flip-flopping that you often see, and for some reason it's much more commonly women, especially women influencers. That one Bad Bunny girl or whatever, I think she changed her name when she got a lot of hate for begging people to sub for $5. She like had a crash out where let's see if we can find it. Yeah, Bad Bunnies. I just want the video. Of course she said she was joking, but Twitch thought. Okay, so this is the girl I'm talking about.
$5 a month.
That's all. Okay, I want to see the whole thing. Okay, here we go. The greediest streamer on Twitch 5 years ago. So if I'm not mistaken, I could be confusing her with someone else who looked identical, because so many Twitch streamers look almost exactly like this, like the same hairstyle, the same clothing, the same glasses, the same way they sit in the chair with their knees up like that. So I could be confusing her with someone else, but I'm pretty sure this is a political streamer who got famous for, I think, being on the right and then swapped to the left. But it's so common, especially for these women that make a career out of it, to go really, really hard on one side and then have a coming to Jesus moment where they're like, oh my God, blah, 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 I was such an idiot. Pay me more money to keep telling you about why I was such an idiot. And this is a moment that epitomizes the whole thing for me.
How did my whole speech about how I need subs and to get the stream going, if you like the content, blah, 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 how that results in 0 subs?
Yeah.
You're a regular.
Okay. Left is best. She's exactly who I think she is. Yeah. She was like a big right wing political streamer, and then she flopped to go lefty.
Here. $5 a month.
This is the most cringe thing.
Have hours of time to watch me and not $5. I don't.
How are you gonna be a leftist who's supposed to be like humble and helping the poor and stuff, and complaining that you're sitting there in your super nice streaming chair with your cozy clothes on and your really expensive green screen and all this stuff, and complain that people aren't paying you $5 whole. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know. What are you doing with your life where you have
What are you doing with your life?
hours of time to watch Twitch and not $5 to provide for the content that you're watching? Because it's like people just really they really don't respect me as a content creator.
Well, this parasite.
No one respects you because you are literally just a political grifter. Not you, Charlie. You're kind of cool. I generally agree with most things you say, except for when you put your foot in it sometimes. But who doesn't? So it's just one of the most cringe things I've ever seen, and I get a feeling based off of what I'm seeing from not Brett necessarily. Like, Brett's been, as far as I know, pretty solidly on the right, but this girl, it's very much like that quintessential, oh, I was a religious zealot on this one side that like was obsessive and swallowed all the lies, but now I much prefer the flavor of these other lies type thing. She's a DSP of streamers, dumb to talk about money. Yeah, it's any type of e-begging is cringe, really. Now there's a difference between saying like, hey, I'm in a jam. If you got some money to spare, I'd appreciate it. Versus like, there's like, I'd say that's even worse than e-begging. E-begging is cringe, but like berating your audience for not paying is just fucking bullshit. Like, it's just absolutely insane. If it's really that much of a problem for you, then stop making the content, right? If you're only in it just for the money and the money isn't there anymore, move on.
And my body, my choice, pro-choice party, but you don't have a choice in your candidate.
So again,
Okay.
you are seeing her mind change. You are seeing the issues that forced her to rethink everything about her
Yes.
political stance,
Okay.
about her political parties. And I'm seeing all of these comments. I'm seeing
So she just talks so fast. There's literally no breath for you to process anything. But again, so all that's a moot point though, because so Brett's very clever here, and that she only pointed out the things that are absolutely kind of verifiably true so far. But again, I haven't seen any of Brett's content before this, so I don't know if she takes a relatively middle of the road stance with most things, but I don't think that's the case. One, because she was on Ben Shapiro's show, which makes me think that she's probably pretty hardcore right, or at least what has been for most of her career. But two, the way she keeps framing everything as an us versus them, switching sides type thing. I'm not getting good vibes from it.
people who are posting clips from this podcast and they're saying, Whitney, it's 4 years too late. It doesn't matter. You're not actually brave. I don't care when it happened. Like, truly, I don't. That's BS to me. I'm just happy that she's thinking critically about the situation and that she has gotten to a point where she feels brave enough to speak about it. Like, again, that is a net good, in my opinion. And so the point I'm making is that, yes, people can change. That is a good, normal, human thing that happens to all of us. And when you change, that means that you then come with a past. You come with choices that you've made and things that you believe.
I'll agree with this
possibly
part.
regret that you would not believe or do now. That's fine. Like, genuinely, that is okay.
I wonder if she's setting it up So why is she opening like this? I wonder if part of it is going to lead into things that maybe she's changed her own opinion on. Let's see what happens.
That is actually very normal for every single human being. So why are we ripping somebody apart because they were 4 years too late? Like, again, wasn't the goal to get people to this point? And so in my opinion, the correct and the good thing to do is to welcome people like Whitney Cummings and understand where they're coming from and have empathy for the fact that, yeah, maybe it took them longer than some other people, but they finally got here. And that doesn't mean that you have to trust them implicitly and say, oh my God, here's your MAGA hat. Here you go. I'm going to follow you. And you're actually going to be our shining guide of a light for conservatism. No, like that is ridiculous. You can tread lightly and be cautious, but you also don't have to be nasty. You also don't have to be a troll online because they aren't perfect. Because I guarantee the people that are commenting these things about her are not perfect either. And more than anything, I think that we should be focusing on people's actions, which brings me to yet another example as I've been thinking about all this cancel culture stuff, which is Bud Light. And I can't believe that I'm touching.
Well, that's going to be a fun one. In general, I agree with her statements, but it's because they're back to like the Barnum statements type thing that like I feel like most people, if you were to give them a true or false question and say like we should be focusing on people's actions and that most people aren't perfect and that we should welcome people that have changed their mind, like probably at least 70 to 80% of people are going to agree with that statement. But she's throwing it in of with the color of MAGA hats and conservatism, which isn't any better than, I don't know what the blue has its equivalent, what the blue side has its equivalent of the MAGA hat, but you get the idea. All right. So what's your other point? She said, which brings me to yet another. We're going to go back 5 seconds so she can get the whole thought in.
Me to yet another example as I've been thinking about all this cancel culture stuff, which is Bud Light.
Oh yeah, Bud Light.
I'm touching this because I know that this is still such a hostile issue on right-wing social media, but I think we need to talk about it. We all remember their infamous ad with Dylan Mulvaney. I did so many videos about that. They gave Dylan a beer can with Dylan's face on it. It was a whole thing. We had their female millennial girl boss marketing exec saying that the Bud Light consumer base was fratty and a beer.
What even is that image? That honestly looks like something out of a horror movie. And I'm not even saying anything about the person themselves. I'm saying kind of like the artist did them wrong, you know? Like, what the fuck is that shit? That's nightmarish. Who wants to be drunk in like a dingy ass bar and have that shit dropped in front of them? Nobody.
Can with Dylan's face on it. It was a whole thing. We had their female millennial girl boss marketing exec saying that the Bud Light consumer base was fratty and out of touch, which really just meant that Bud Light was out of touch with who their audience was. But Bud Light has spent the last...
That's just so ass backwards. How can you say like, bro, oh my God, like I don't want to go deep on the whole Bud Light thing because it's obviously old, but like Jesus Christ, to actually, first of all, like, I have no problem with trans people, and I have no problem with a company choosing a trans person as their spokesperson. But why the fuck would you be like the most redneck beer of all and think that's a good idea? Like, there is not a single more redneck beer that I can think of. When you, it's like that's the one, you know? It's like there are other honorable mentions, other beers that come to mind that you can be like, yeah, a redneck would drink that one. But it's like, what is the quintessential conservative redneck beer? Bud Light and Budweiser. And to think that it was a good idea to hire someone as a spokesperson who flies in the face of what your primary target demographic believes in is just utterly ridiculous. Like, didn't Kid Rock like shoot his fucking I'm pretty sure he like shot his beers or something like that. Yeah. He literally took his beer out to the lake and he put a bullet in it.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible.
Got an MP5 there.
Fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day. Grandpa's feeling
Literally the single dumbest person in the world. Not that the person that they got individually is dumb, but it's like the worst possible choice they could make for a spokesperson. They made it. Like, it just makes absolutely no sense. No sense whatsoever. I need coffee. We're gonna go get coffee. Oh, you need food, don't you? Yeah, okay, I gotta feed Charlie. I should have fed him like 2 hours ago, to be honest. But it's fine. He gets more than he needs. He just gets annoyed if I don't feed him on time, which makes sense. I would be annoyed too if my food were 2 hours late. I guess he didn't care too much because we were chilling and cuddling in a bit, but now he's like, hey, you gonna feed me now, bitch? Yeah, so I'm gonna make coffee. I'm gonna feed the cat before he gets any madder at me, and then we'll be back and watch the second half of this. Okay, the cat has been taken care of. I have coffee, and it says it's preparing an ad. The ad not happened yet? All that whole time? Is the adpocalypse on Twitch real? I don't know. But what I do know is we're going to keep reacting to Brett. And I was not really talking to the mic that whole time. That's fine, though.
Last 2 years trying to make things right. They have literally
We're gonna
been
get-
repenting for
We're going to get the mic set up better where I can just like talk and the mic will pick it up once I'm done with this temporary setup. It's not really got a good place to attach the boom arm to when it's just two rickety folding tables and it's a $100 boom arm holding a $300 mic.
for 2 years. Like, in my personal opinion, Bud Light has done more to get back on track and actually listen to their consumer base than, say, the companies that Robbie Starbuck has been going after. The companies that get
I don't know
ominous
who that
message
is.
on LinkedIn from Robbie saying, we know what you're doing behind the scenes. We're going to expose you. They get freaked out. They put out an apology and a very well-curated PR statement rolling back everything they've been doing over the past couple of years, getting rid of the BLM initiatives, all of that BS. And while those things are obviously still net positives and they're good for society, those are actions that are being done out of fear and convenience. Where Bud Light is literally putting in the work, whether you like it or not. Like, over the past couple of years, the ad agency that was involved in that Dylan Mulvaney beer can, they fired 13 people immediately after. Bud Light put 2 marketing execs who were involved in that on leave and ended up firing them. They gave an apology, albeit very squishy, didn't actually hit the issue head on, but they did make an apology. But more important,
I feel like you just have to get fired if you do that. And it's not even, the craziest thing is the people that get fired for doing that is going to claim they were fired for discrimination. And it's true, but they were fired because of their discrimination, not because of the company's discrimination. If they weren't so discriminatory, they would see beyond their own fucking lying ass noses and realize that their job as a marketing person is to market their product to the customer, not to try and force a political agenda down the customer's throats.
importantly, they drastically changed their marketing tactics.
If you're not doing your job, you're gonna get replaced. That's just the way it works. There's a million people out there who are itching for a job, and every single one of them is waiting for you to trip up so they can take the spot.
It's like they actually got back to who Bud Light's consumers are and what Bud Light stands for. Like, they made Shane Gillis the face of. For the past couple of years, the ad agency that was involved in that Dylan Mulvaney beer can, they fired 13 people immediately after. Bud Light put 2 marketing execs who were involved in that on leave and ended up firing them. They gave an apology, albeit
Big Brother decided we didn't watch this enough. They wanted us to see it twice.
But more importantly, they drastically changed their marketing tactics. Like, they actually got back to who Bud Light's consumers are and what Bud Light stands for. Like, they made Shane Gillis the face of their company, which was a dream come true for
I know
them.
that name, but I forget who he is.
Manly advertisements again, like every single one of their ads at this point, I think, has men in flannels drinking beer and watching football. They did an exclusive partnership with Dana White and the UFC, which, oh my God, I'm sure you guys remember this, which royally pissed people off. I mean, conservatives thought that it was such a betrayal on Dana White's part to help Bud Light rebrand their image after this scandal. But Dana White, interestingly, had a completely different take. He was on a podcast talking about this, and he said, "We had multiple bidders on the table. They were one of them. History."
I heard the cat outside. The mic's pretty sensitive. You guys can't hear it all because I have a noise gate, so it doesn't pick up the massive, it's not massive, but it sounds very loud, heater, which is right next to this room. Like, when I eventually when I get this set up and start recording music, I'm gonna have to turn the AC and heater off to be able to record anything, because it is insane. It drowns out everything unless I have a very aggressive noise gate on, which is why if I'm not close to the mic, I will cut out a bit. But I do hear things that you guys don't hear. I heard the cat jumping on. He has like a countertop outside. It looks like your kitchen counter. It's got cabinets and stuff. Only the bottom level, not the top level. But it's actually bigger than the countertops in my kitchen. Well, if you were to take the sink out, it would be about the same. In my kitchen, I have like one of those metal 2-bin tub sinks, and then there's like some counter space on either side. If you were to take all that out, the cat has about that much space down here where he has like a scratching pad and his food and water there. And I can hear him jumping up on that from in here. And sometimes it trips me out. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Oh, it was the cat. But, well, yeah, we're talking about you, Charlie. But I'm pretty sure Dana White made a very calculating move. You know, I don't really know much about the dude, but seen clips here and there from like interviews or podcasts he went on, and he's definitely a business-minded individual. So I'm sure he considered every angle.
Podcast talking about this, and he said, "We had multiple bidders on the table. They were one of them. History has shown me, with relationships that I've had with other beer companies, I don't go crazy over the whole Patriot thing, but I consider myself a proud American. I'm happy to be an American. I love this country, and you are way more aligned with Anheuser-Busch than you are with other beer companies. I guarantee it." And then he went even further on Bussin' with the Boys, and he said this.
So if I have made the decision to go with Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, there's a damn good fucking reason. I know the inner workings of the beer business better than any of the other these guys out, these fans and all this shit.
I'm sure he does. Like I said, he's a businessman.
Woke and doing what they did. 65,000 Americans are employed by Anheuser-Busch, and a lot of them are vets. That alone should be enough reason. Number two, they spend almost $1 billion a year with U.S. farmers. That should be a reason you do it. All the stuff that they do for first responders and vets and $44 million spent over the last however many years for their families. Every time there's a natural disaster in America, they shut down the plant and turn it into a bottled water facility. And they've done something crazy like 100 million bottles that they've sent out to Americans in need. Give me a fucking break.
I knew that, but I forgot it.
Over it. He had been
Because, like, being a first responder for over 10 years, we used to hand some of that water out. Or it would get shipped to us while we were on the job. What was my main reason that I'm a fan of Anheuser-Busch? Well, I have mixed feelings about it. Is they own Rolling Rock now. And the reason I have mixed feelings about it is because hey, kitty cat. In 2015, Anheuser-Busch stopped brewing bottled Rolling Rock in glass-lined tanks. Only the canned beer is now being brewed using the traditional process. And there was a time where all of a sudden the beer didn't taste as good. And I couldn't figure out why anymore. This is my favorite light beer. It's not technically a light, like it doesn't say Miller Lite or Bud Light or Coors Light or anything like that, but it definitely has a more of like a light flavor to it. It's technically an extra pale lager, and I always say Rolling Rock tastes like what Yingling Light should taste like. But what Yingling Light actually tastes like is just like someone poured out half a bottle of Yingling and then filled the rest with water. It's fucking nasty as hell. Whereas Rolling Rock just tastes really good. The original glass line stuff. So you can only get the cans now. You can't get bottles anymore, which is a shame. Because honestly, when I drink beer, I prefer to drink it from a bottle. I think if anyone from Anheuser-Busch ever sees this, which there's like 0.0000000% 1% chance of that, but one of the biggest like badass marketing moves they could do, especially considering that a lot of traditional Americans aren't fully in support of them ever since the Dylan Mulvaney stuff. Some people just don't forget, you know? But what they need to do, bring back the pony bottle and make sure the stuff they're putting in that is in the glass line tanks. That is like some of the most American shit. The Rolling Rock pony bottle, this article here even talks about Though it did not originate the term, the popularity of Rolling Rock doubtless. So, okay, wait, here we go. Rolling Rock's 7-ounce pony bottle had been very popular until its discontinuation. So much so that this has given rise to the folk etymology that pony is from the Rolling Rock horse logo right there. This is incorrect. The term pony, a pony of beer, has been used since the 19th century. Though it did not originate the term, the popularity of Rolling Rock doubtless reinforced it. One could refer to a regular or small of the beer as a horse or pony, respectively. Also, it likely led to the standardization on a 7-ounce size. Major national brands introduced 7-ounce pony bottles early in the 70s, of which the most prominent is Miller High Life, which is nasty. Miller Life is way better than Miller High Life. Miller Lite is way better than Miller High Life. I guess I'm getting tired because I can't talk anymore. But I think I'm sure it was a cost-cutting measure, because I guarantee you that not using glass line tanks is cheaper. But if Anheuser-Busch really wants to bring back their good old boy customers, start brewing all of it would be the best. But even if you don't start brewing all of it, bring back the pony bottle, brew it in the original glass slide tanks, and make an advertising campaign about how it's a local Pennsylvania beer from 1939 still being brewed in the same way it was back then. The pony bottle with the horse on it. Rolling Rock is iconic. You scroll down here in media. James Rolster is angry video game nerd. Even the young internet dudes kind of know a little bit about it. Well, maybe not the super young. We'll say the middle-aged internet dudes kind of know about it. I don't know if the young kids know about angry video game nerd at all. Rolling Rock appeared in episodes of The Sopranos, the film The Deer Hunter, At Close Range. I don't know that. Red Foreman is shown drinking Rolling Rock in That 70s Show. The movie That's My Boy, don't know that. Don't know the movie Side Effects. But like, look at this list. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This beer is iconic. And Anheuser-Busch is just letting it fade away into nothingness. You want to revitalize? No one thinks of Bud Light when they think of Rolling Rock. You want to start pulling money back in and recapture a lot of those conservatives that don't want anything to do with Bud Light ever again? Sell them this shit, and they'll buy it.
Questioned about this so much. He had been criticized, literally ripped to shreds. So many conservatives that had aligned with him and were partnering with him were breaking off ties. It was literally like the seas had parted. There was a divide over Bud Light because people couldn't decide whether they deserved to be redeemed or whether they should literally be boycotted and canceled into oblivion forever. And I know that there are people who disagree and they want to see these companies who have made wrong turns, who have made bad decisions, they want to see them completely destroyed, canceled, ended, bankruptcy, never to be seen again. But I actually completely disagree. Like, I want to see companies change and be better and come back stronger and actually listen to their consumers. Like, I think about companies like Disney. Disney is an incredibly important company and has...
I can't handle the jump cuts.
It has changed thousands and thousands of lives. It has changed the direction of so many different industries. It would be a shame to see it be completely destroyed. But I do think it should be better. I think that they should actually listen to their audience and listen to their consumers who pay their bills. That is what needs to change. Like, I don't want to lose integral and historical and important parts of American society simply because
She's
I'm
not
bigger
allowed to
and
take a
more
breath.
informed. And the way to avoid this is to be self-aware, but it's also to be smarter. And in my opinion, the best way to become smarter is through Peterson Academy. And Peterson Academy is Jordan Peterson's online university that is
They don't
open for
even-
enrollment right now. And if you are someone who loves lifelong
They don't
learning,
even take a
you
break
want the brightest professors in the world, if you
going
want
into
someone
the
who's
fucking
well-educated,
sponsored
who's got a
segment.
bunch of
The
lectures,
second
I have
sponsored
incredible
segment,
guests
mind
on the
you.
show, then this platform is for
Like,
you. And every
literally,
month, Peterson
it's just
Academy
an
releases
endless
4
dribble
new
of
8-hour
words.
university level courses taught by world-renowned professors, and it's produced in a
This
way
is the polar opposite of that other girl they showed. That other girl they showed that replaced her, apparently. I don't, of course, I'm sure I probably saw just like the worst clips. But that other girl that replaced her had so much dead air, it's insane. Now, there's a difference between a pregnant pause and dead air. Dead air is when you actually can't think of anything to say. When you haven't created any type of suspense, I guess suspension kind of works. When you haven't created any type of suspense to keep the audience hooked, when you haven't let them know that it's an incomplete thought, when it's just a complete thought and then you have nothing else to say. That's what the other girl did. And there's a difference between pregnant pauses and allowing people a moment to process. Because I realized as I said it, I completed that thought and then I said nothing for like probably 2 or 3 seconds. But it was more of just letting it sit. There's like the pregnant pause, which that was the pregnant pause right there, where you just kind of stop in the middle and leave everyone wondering what you're going to say next. Then there's that moment at the end, like I just took right now, where you let people process, and she doesn't do either one. She just constantly throws endless amounts of information at you that are designed to make your brain overwhelm and shut down, so you just kind of nod and smile, which is the same tactic that Ben Shapiro uses. So I'm not surprised she uses it too. I don't think she necessarily got the idea from him. She seems to be a natural at it, but my guess is that they hired her because she was good at it, and that, and then she honed the art while she was there. Meanwhile, the girl that they replaced her with, you can tell her mind just goes blank sometimes in the clips that I saw. I'm not saying that that doesn't necessarily happen with Brett, because obviously this whole thing is stitched together with endless jump cuts, and who knows what happened in those spots that they cut out. Oh, hey kitty. But the girl that they replaced her with actually just has these massive moments where she repeats like one word over 2 or 3 times, because you can tell that she has absolutely no idea what to say. Whereas I'm pretty sure if you give her enough time, Brett ever won't run out of things to say. Especially if you've got plenty of sponsorships to fill her video
way
with.
to keep you engaged. These courses cover an amazing range of your education. So again, make sure to check out
Hi, Kitty.
petersonacademy.com/Brett today. Again, that's petersonacademy.com/Brett to join Peterson Academy today. And I know that this is a very hot take in conservative circles right now, but in light of all of this, This is why I am choosing to give Mark Zuckerberg and Meta a chance. I want to.
What the fuck does that even mean? Having sponsorships is a very hot take in conservatives circles, or giving Facebook a chance. I mean, I guess giving Facebook a chance, deconstructing it backwards, but that phrasing was so fucked. They should have put the sponsorship in somewhere else because it made no sense there. It made it seem like she was picking up on the previous thought, but in reality she was starting a brand new one, and that just made it confusing, which maybe that's the tactic. Maybe they did it on purpose, because honestly, this video seems primarily designed to just throw so much information at you that your brain shuts down and you stop thinking and you just nod along to everything that's being said because she's pretty.
See them be better.
And she
I
talks
want
really
to see them
fast,
succeed.
so
And I feel like
she's
we've
smart.
totally been-
I hate that fucking... What is it? It's not even a meta. It's just like a belief that a lot of people have. It's like, if someone talks really loud and really fast and doesn't run out of things to say, they must be smart. No, usually those people are the biggest idiots. I'm not saying that's always the case, but I've found that the smartest people are the people that never say anything at all.
Been watching Mark Zuckerberg transform. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, again, like Whitney Cummings, he's grifting, he's opportunistic, he's just changing right now. Are you kidding me? Like, I have been watching Mark Zuckerberg beef himself up. He started doing martial arts and jujitsu. Like, when he started doing jujitsu, I was like, it's over for the libs. And guess what? It kind of was. Didn't he open a cattle ranch in Hawaii? He started talking about the importance of eating grass-fed beef. Like, somewhere along the line in the last few years, something clicked for him in his life and he began to change.
I don't
also
think
personally
so.
think that his response
I disagree.
to the Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, I thought that that was very, very genuine. I didn't think that that was calculated or opportunistic at all. I think that he, like so many other Americans who had turned away from Trump, who didn't really like him, I think that they saw him in a completely different light. I mean, you watched a man who has literally faced lawfare, has faced...
I can't tell what's going on here. I don't know if she's just grifting for a grifter, if she knows that Zuckerberg is absolutely just going wherever the wind blows because he's a massive corporation trying to make money, and politicians decide who gets to profit generally. Or if she's like actually believing this and kind of deluding herself instead of just deluding her audience to make money. I don't trust any of these political pundits on either side.
slander and shame, has been kicked out of his circles, has lost basically his entire community, and now he is being physically attacked, he is being shot at. And you see him stand up and say, fight, 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 because he believes in this country. He doesn't have to do any of this. He could be at Mar-a-Lago golfing. It's what we always say. He doesn't have to be president. He doesn't need to be running again. He could be living a peaceful life, but he's choosing to show up against all
That's such a stupid argument. I'm not even going to address it. Let's just move on.
odds because he believes in this country and he believes that it can be great. And I think, again, like a lot of Americans, that clicked for Mark Zuckerberg. And if you don't know the clip that I'm talking about, just listen to what he said immediately after the assassination attempt.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Like, I think in that moment,
This guy has all of your data, right? If there's anyone in the world who knows what people thought about that whole event and how to mimic it, it's Mark Zuckerberg. It's just so here's the thing. While the whole reason why the Democrats lost so badly, the most significant and embarrassing loss ever, like no Republican president, to my knowledge, has ever won by such a large margin, is because the Democrats have taken on this extreme leftist position as their primary position, but most people don't support that. It's like maybe 10, max 20% of the Democratic Party. So you see something like the Trump assassination and watch him overcome it like that, that might tilt the scales for a lot of those moderate Democrats and absolutely for the independent voters, right? And besides the extreme leftists that hated him and just wanted to see him dead and are super in support of political violence, the vast majority of Americans are opposed to political violence. And you see someone overcome it like that, there's going to be a lot of people talking about how
is one of the most badass things I've ever
badass that absolutely is. And where are they going to talk about that? On Facebook. And who has all that data? He does. This is like the biggest empty nothing statement I have ever seen from everyone. It's so basic. It's literally like, it feels like he had an AI write this script for him.
Get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
Like, I think in that moment,
it looks like he's in his head trying to think about the facial expressions and gestures he's supposed to make. It looks rehearsed. And I say this as someone who used to rehearse those things as an actor. I was a theater major for 2 years. And then I realized that that was a dead-end position, a dead-end degree. So I went to go focus on political science. Like, that had better prospects. Well, it kind of did, but I didn't want to lie to the American people for a living. So I didn't want to do that either.
Developed a man crush. He was like, this is what a real man is. He's tough, he's strong, this is what I want to be. I genuinely think that it was inspiring, and the gears started turning at a much
That's just
faster
cringe.
rate. I really think that that was the push he needed to draw his line in the sand and start to unravel everything that he and Meta had been doing for so many years, had been complicit in, which is why, in my opinion, he sent that now famous letter to Jim Jordan, where he basically admitted to all the censorship and said the White House was encouraging and forcing their hands. He said that in 2021, senior...
He did it because he's just trying to curry favor with the new administration. Facebook is already doing the same thing. Again, we just watched a video about how they were censoring Linux.
Officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor, and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions. This is really important. We're going to talk about that later. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it.
I don't know if I want to hear you talk about anything anymore. You're kind of just pissing me off at this point.
Wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we are ready to push back if something like this happens again. And a lot of people read this letter and they said, oh, he thinks that Trump's going to get in office and that he is going to get reprimanded, that he's going to be thrown in jail. He's trying to cover his track. But that last line spoke volumes. We're ready to push back if something like this happens again.
That was just so much nothingness in one sentence. She said the same thing 3 times. Like, I don't understand how people can sit here and just watch this. I'm probably never watching another one of these again. I'm gonna stay subscribed just because I want to see the episode 2. But oh my god, this is like pulling teeth. This is, maybe I just watch all these because it's probably decent content to commentate on this bullshit, which is what it is. This whole thing is just bullshit. She hasn't said anything of substance yet. We are, Kat, you're stuck on my pants. You okay there? Okay, and you got yourself free. We're 20 minutes in, and she hasn't said anything of substance yet. I've never seen someone talk so much and say so little. How is this girl so popular?
Again, any administration, either direction. I actually think that he was saying, Kamala, if you get elected, we're not doing this again. Because I know better now. I have more strength. I have more courage. I've seen somebody literally get shot at in the face and continue to stand up against absurdity and tyranny. And I now have the balls to stand up to you. So I think it works in both directions. And then, guys, to top all of this off, he made a video a couple months later, which I'm sure you've seen, announcing a complete overhaul of how Meta and how Facebook monitors content with a focus on free speech, which is, what it should have been the entire time. But now they're going back to their roots, is what he said. Just watch.
She's so good at this that I can't tell whether she actually believes it or if she's just feeding people that she knows are going to believe it, I really can't tell.
The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship.
Yet, you're trying to ban users talking about Linux, which is one, free expression, but an open source computer program that helps prevent government interference. But continue with the lies, Zuckface.
And making it difficult to build anything innovative there. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship.
Oh my god.
Going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
He's saying this
by preventing people from talking about how to freely express themselves through their computer operating system, apparently.
This is a global trend that you are all complicit in. We're not doing this again, and now that we have Trump coming into office, it's going to be a lot easier for us to fight back against all of this. And within minutes,
let's see if he still says that in 4 years.
Of this video dropping on social media.
Or maybe 8 years if the Republicans win again. So I call it the political pendulum, where we keep watching like more progressively left people win, and then it swings back the other way and a more progressively right person wins, and then it swings back the other way and a more progressively left person wins. Eventually, if we don't stop this shit, the momentum's just going to tear the United States apart. But in the meantime, it's kind of fun to watch. I've tried my entire life to stop it, but no one's fucking listening anymore. So at this point, I'm just sitting back, sipping my coffee, and well, let's just say the mug speaks for itself. But this has been a weird one because one, Trump was split, but also the Democratic Party fucked themselves really hard. So hard in this past election that I don't know if it's actually done swinging right this time. You know? I feel like it's just gonna go, and then it's gonna go farther. It's gonna like it's gonna go like almost upside down to the right. Either that or it goes almost upside down to the left. I know a lot of people are worried about Trump's presidency. Maybe I'm gonna regret this. Maybe I'll end up eating my words, but I'm not worried about Trump's presidency. At least not yet. So I'll tell you right now. The only way I'm really worried about Trump's presidency is if the Democrats lose badly in the midterm election. If he gets a mandate and he can just pass anything he wants without any pushback from the Democrats, and I don't know if I can say the word I have for the Republicans on YouTube, but it's the Republic C word. Republic see you next Tuesday. So if he can just pass anything he wants, because the Democrats fuck up so badly they lose the midterms as well, which I don't know if it's going to happen, because I can see two things happening. One, an extra big push from Democrats to get even more people to vote and try and rebalance things, see if they can take Congress, and perhaps a little bit of laziness on the side of the Republicans, resting on their laurels a bit, feel like they've won. They might be less likely to go out and vote during the midterms, because why would they? Trump's in office, right? He'll handle it. But I feel like that's kind of the more likely option. But there's also a second option, which would be the worst of the two outcomes, where so many of the left are so disenfranchised with the political system that they decide not to go out and vote during the midterms, because after voting in the presidential election and being told that there was no way Trump could win, when from my perspective there was no way he could lose. I predicted pretty much a 70% I think I said chance that Trump was going to win the election. Meanwhile, if you looked at most of the polls and stuff, they were predicting like a 60% Harris win or something like that, which was kind of like a landslide victory. Definitely a landslide victory. But obviously that didn't happen at all. And a lot of liberals and Democrats felt that they were utterly lied to and that the system is broken. No, the system is not broken. It's working as intended. It's designed to keep the working class tearing at each other's throats so that they don't pick up the pitchforks and torches and go after the people that are actually making them miserable. Now, if the Democrats lose enough faith in the election system, then they won't turn out to vote in the midterms, and Donald Trump will get his mandate, and he'll be able to pass any damn law he wants. And the last 2 years of him will be hell. either way, assuming the country survives him, I'm actually much more worried about whoever the next president is going to be than I am about Trump. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Yang. And the thing is, in the past, I've said I liked Yang. But I don't know anymore. He's done some weird things lately that leave me scratching my head. So I'm kind of wondering if he's just playing the game really well, playing the long game. If he's like the new AOC, you know? Or maybe it's I don't know if either of them are old enough, to be honest. I don't know anyone's ages. But yeah, so we'll see what happens over the next 4 years.
It was announced that they were, rolling back fact checkers. My favorite part of that video was actually when he said that he was moving the content moderation team from an office in San Francisco to Texas, was hiring all new people, which was just such a F the libs moment. Like, okay, now we're taking this away from you, San Francisco tech bros. We're taking it to Texas where people are a lot more reasonable. That was just fantastic. He literally got rid of the DEI teams at Meta, removed tampons from the men's bathrooms, which was just insane that they were there in the first place. He put Dana White on the Meta board of directors, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing that he did. Because with that, he said, I'm taking this action, yes, but I'm putting somebody incredibly powerful, incredibly well-connected on this board to not only hold me accountable, but also hold the entire company accountable. And of course, and I know people are already going to be commenting about this, and I'm sure you guys are concerned, but with Mark Zuckerberg's track record, obviously we should be skeptical. Obviously, we should not jump in heart first, trusting this man implicitly, but you also shouldn't dismiss the work that he is doing that will make our lives better, that will hopefully change the course of the media landscape, much like Elon Musk and X has done. We should...
What work is he doing, though? All you said was a bunch of fluff shit. So he fired a bunch of people and hired some other people. He hasn't done any work to actually change anything. That's the only action you said he actually did. You said he was doing work. Everything that you talked about so far was words, empty words, in my opinion. The only thing he actually did was move the location of his content moderation team. And honestly, I feel like it had nothing to do with anything except for the fact that California is hell and wages are insanely high there, to accommodate for the insane cost of living. And even as expensive as parts of Texas are, especially like Austin, I've heard, I'd be willing to bet it is way cheaper for him to have his content moderation team based out of Texas than it is out of California. And that's almost certainly the sole reason why he did it. And it's just, maybe there was a little bit of it's convenient now with the switching of the ruling party to be Republican.
In my opinion, hope for the best and hope that he is being genuine and be excited about the changes that he's making. And this man is also in an incredibly difficult situation right now. Like, everyone hates him. If you go online and you watch any videos about Mark Zuckerberg right now, you have libs screaming, losing their minds, saying we're not going to be on Meta anymore, we're getting rid of Instagram, getting rid of Facebook, literally ripping him to shreds. One of my favorite things to do over the last month has been to watch all of my lib friends on Facebook meltdown over this, so they're pissed off at him. Meanwhile, you have conservatives who think that he should be in jail, that nothing he does will ever rectify the situation that he created, that he does not deserve a second chance, that we should also leave Meta, leave Facebook. Like, he can please nobody.
It's not even a second chance. It's like his 200th chance or something like that. I've lost count at this point.
At this moment, he is between a rock and a hard place. Like, there is no
always forgive everyone, if for no other reason than for your own soul, but pay attention to patterns of behavior at the same time and protect yourself from those with clearly dubious intent.
Real winning for him here, because everybody's going to hate him regardless and nobody is going to like him or trust him. So he is having to do what he believes is a moral right. He is having to make the harder decision, even though it might not be the easier decision. And I will always respect somebody for attempting to do that. And I know that a lot of people believe that he should face repercussions for what he did over the last 10 years. Other people want him to apologize, which in my opinion, he did in that letter to Jim Jordan. And who knows if he will face repercussions. I don't know what Trump is going to do. It seems like they're kind of buddy-buddy considering he was sitting right.
She just throws at this stuff to you. What letter from Jim Jordan? What was the content of that letter to Jim Jordan? Are you going to like tell us something about the letter? Do you just expect everyone to know this? And she expects you not even to know what it is and just to nod along and smile and be like, yeah, you're right. That letter to Jim Jordan, that was so cool. I'm glad he did that too.
Right behind him at the inauguration. And other people are saying, you know, this is one of the most wealthy individuals in America who runs an incredibly powerful company. You should have just pushed back against Biden and the Biden administration. And while that is obviously, yes, true, to me, the fact that this incredibly wealthy and powerful man was afraid of our U.S. government speaks more to their overreach and their corruption and their power than it does to his character. Because if they were willing to attack him and threaten him, imagine what they would have done to all of us. I mean, we saw what they did to people over the last 5 years. So it's understandable that he was apprehensive about not pushing back even more. And so that is why I genuinely am hoping for the best. I want him to be genuine. I want him to succeed because that will be better for all of us. And in my opinion, believing in somebody's ability to change is instrumental to the health, number one, to the health of all of us in our personal lives, but it's also instrumental to the health of the right and our movement. Because if we lose that, we become no better than the left. The left that we have all been canceled and ridiculed by. The left that we have called out for policing speech.
See, she does this constantly. She says something that's like kind of agreeable, and then she immediately brings it back to the us versus them bullshit. Yo, what's up, Trago Cray? Yeah, I don't really know who this person is, but everyone's been talking about her lately, so I wanted to learn. Brett Cooper, she's like apparently some type of right-wing commentator that got that either left or got fired a right-wing commentary show, the Daily Wire, which I think is Ben Shapiro's show, and I wanted to commentate on this whole thing, and it's been mildly infuriating, to say the least, which I'm sure is probably pretty good content. How are you doing, Trey? I'm having fun, but I can't. This type of content is insane to me. Like, it's the same type of rapid Ben Shapiro speak, which makes sense as to why she was on his show, of like, I am going to say a million words at you so fast that you just have to accept all of them, and I'm going to convince the world that means I'm really smart. And they just throw stuff out there without ever explaining it. Like, the reason I paused this time is because she talked about some letter and declared it was proof, but like, I've never heard of this letter before, and I'm willing to bet like half of her audience has never heard of this letter before, nor has any idea what content is in the letter. It's just, it's so frustrating. I'm fantastic, thank you. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. So we don't really get political here to speak, but I am a philosopher, so I critique both sides equally. And it seems like right now we're going hard on the right at the moment. Now no worries. Yeah. Just glad to have you guys around. I feel like I'm probably gonna switch to games after this video is over. We got, I guess, 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes. We should let her finish. In this 2.5 minutes, we're probably gonna get 300 words, because it's very rare in my life that I've ever heard anyone speak so fast. They don't even let her take breaths. They just edit out all of her breaths. So it's just instant jump cuts of an endless word salad. And she'll repeat the same thing 3 different ways, but it's just like an empty phrase that means nothing. And I get why people are so interested in this person. One, because like she's kind of pretty, and 2, it's because she talks fast in an authoritative way, which makes people think that you're smart. And then the subtle editing tricks where the camera is always moving. We got fucking ads. I'm in the middle of explaining something. Steel is just in temp in the weeds. What does that even mean, D-Day? You probably can't hear me, dude. I'm gonna hydrate real quick while we got ads, because my throat's kind of sore. I've been ranting and raving for however long we've been watching this video. Oh. Alright, so welcome back. I don't even remember what I was saying anymore when the ads hit. But what the hell does that mean, D-Day? Steel is just in temp in the woods? In the weeds? I get what in the weeds mean, but what does in temp mean? I like the announcement. That's awesome. Yeah, I just got that turned on recently. Like maybe 2 streams ago. It took me a long time to figure it out. It was kind of hidden, but I found it eventually. There was like 2 settings you needed to turn on. Temporary in the weeds. You mean like okay, like we're getting out of the weeds soon when this video's over. But dude, she just, it's all empty rhetoric so far. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. This is like TikTok crack for conservative boomers. You know? It's like that same type of TikTok content, except for if you watch it on YouTube and you lean to the right instead of the left. Like all the jump cuts, the huge body motions. Oh my god, it's just like, how many words can she say? She says like 5 words for every single one I say. I was talking over her the whole time. Let's actually hear what she was saying though.
No better than the left. The left that we have all been canceled.
And that's the thing that burns my ass every time. Is she starts out with these Barnum statements that everyone can agree with. It's like, oh yeah, I just want people to learn and see the truth and come to the light. Unlike those fucking lefty assholes. It's like, what? It's like immediately contradicts herself.
And ridiculed by the left that we have called out for policing speech and being relentlessly tribal in the way that they eat their own and do not allow anybody to have any kind of dissenting opinion or make any kind of misstep whatsoever. The left that says,
you mean the way the right just ate its own by fucking you over with the whole Daily Wire or whatever that show is called?
You can't talk about X and you can't do Y. Is that really who we want to become? I go on social media, I go on X, And that's what I'm seeing. It's just a bunch of infighting. It's a bunch of people freaking out.
I mean, I guess she is calling it out. Yeah.
Oh my
Fair
God.
enough. That's fair.
Wow. And of course, there's a difference between that kind of toxicity and those cancellations, and simply being cautious and holding people accountable and hoping for the best. But with what I'm seeing online, with what people are saying and commenting, those lines are becoming increasingly blurry. We just elected Donald Trump to his second term, which is fantastic. I think most people are very, very excited and pumped about it. I think that the world feels a lot better since January 20th. But Donald Trump
That's
is
copium.
a former Democrat. And a lot of people on the right have serious problems with him, whether that is because of his track record on COVID, the vaccines, the fact that he spent
Okay, there
a
you
lot of
go.
money, more than he should have in his first term, whether it was because he appointed rhinos, whether it was because of Jan 6. But people have gotten over
She said the world in general feels better about it or something like that. The world in general is scared that he's going to go hog wild with the nukes. And there's a lot of people on the left that are absolutely terrified of the guy. A lot of people in the middle that have no idea what to think. And a lot of people on the right that believe that he runs counter to everything Republicans actually believe in because he's just a maverick. She's making these gross statements which aren't necessarily true. And again, I'm not taking sides here. If we were watching a liberal grifter, I would be pulling them. If we were watching Hassan right now, I'd be pulling his shit apart too. I'll be in and out of lurk working on some stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You can lurk as much as you want here. I'm actually a cereal lurker. I'm not sure if you were here for that earlier, but we were talking about it. I eat way too much cereal, and back before I was grinding endlessly to try and get all this monetization stuff off the ground and get my numbers back to where they used to be, I used to just spend hours lurking on other people's channel. And there's literally always cereal near my desk. I have a classic right now. I actually have a whole series on YouTube where I try different types of cereals and give my review on them. Trump is kind of a fascist to me at the moment. So I said in his first election that Trump was using Hitler's playbook. Now, whether or not he has the same type of disgusting end goals is an entirely different thing. But he very much gives speeches the same way. He is very good at singling out a particular group or groups of people and blaming them for all the country's problems. He is very good at deflecting criticism and making the people who critique him seem unbalanced. He is very good at sweeping his own blunders under the rug. He's an egomaniac who cares more about power, and I think he cares more about profit than Adolf ever did. I believe that Donald here, he's very much an American, and not the good type of American, you know? Not like the I'm gonna work in the factory and go home to my wife, or I'm gonna work in the fields and go camping with the boys type American. He's very much, I said the first election, he's the greatest con man the world has ever seen, in my opinion. I love him or hate him, you have to acknowledge his strengths. And I've never seen someone who has had so many bankrupt businesses be so good at convincing people to still give him money somehow. I know multiple people that, at least one person I can think of explicitly that I remember saying had a contract with Donald Trump that never got paid for completing that. It was the guy ran a lighting business. And to be fair, the guy that ran the lighting business definitely had his issues too. So who knows? Maybe there was some good reason for why this contract didn't get fulfilled. But the guy said that he installed lights in a gymnasium for Trump or a Trump affiliated business. And basically they never paid him for it. And Trump's big thing that he did a lot is he would take investor money, a lot of investor money. He would start up a business and he would set up a bunch of contracts, and then he would declare bankruptcy for that business, and everyone would lose a whole bag, but he'd come out making millions somehow. And he did that over and over again. It was a rinse and repeat type thing. When I grew up, I remember Trump being a joke. He was a TV reality star, and I always figured he was a joke because here's this guy who ran this reality TV show called The Apprentice, I think it was, where this businessman who has bankrupted 13 businesses teaches people how to be a good businessman. I thought it was the most ironic, stupid fucking shit I've ever seen. That show was kind of funny to watch just because of how dumb everything in it was. And now he's the leader of our fucking country for the second time. But to be honest, I'm not surprised he won the second time. As I mentioned a little bit earlier in the stream, and I've been saying for months, I believe there is a 70% chance he was going to win. And the primary reason I believe that is because I didn't understand how Obama could win a second election. Because I voted for Obama in the 2008 election. And they didn't keep any of his campaign promises. So I was like, oh, well, fuck that guy. Obviously he's not going to win again. No one wants to vote for a liar. And he won again. So that's when I realized that the vast majority of people are just dumb fucking herd animals that are going to do whatever the loudest voice convinces them to do. And Trump was already the loudest voice this election. But once Musk added his voice to Trump's, it was in the bag. There was no way Trump was losing after he got the vocal Musk endorsement. And the primary reason why is because there were a lot of moderates that didn't know which way to go. And two things happened. One, the Democrats pushed about half the moderates away with their like absolute insane censorship and forcing a lot of the DEI stuff, which is not popular for most people. Supporting the transitioning of children is not popular for most people. And these became Democratic platform ideologies. And those people that weren't pushed away by those ideologies got pulled into the other side when Musk, who is like traditionally kind of a libertarian maverick himself and often highly favored by a lot of these independents, when he threw his talon with Trump, the rest of them were like, oh, I guess I guess he's the guy then. And that's why we've seen such a massive blowout Republican victory, like pretty much never before in history. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, things will get interesting 2 years from now when we see what happens in the midterms. I'm not concerned yet because there's only so much he can do right now with just a slight Republican majority, especially when a lot of the true hardcore Republicans don't like him because he's not a real Republican as far as they're concerned. So he can bluster a lot, but in the end, he can't pass any law he wants to. He needs to pass bipartisan laws. And he also, a lot of these executive orders are probably going to get overturned because some of them are massive oversteps of his power. Now, to be fair, this is Obama's fault because Obama was the one to start this whole cascade of I'm going to use executive orders to force my will upon the country. And ever since then, every president's just done it more and more and more. This is why I call it the political pendulum of insanity, where we go even more to the extreme right, then the next guy comes up and we go even more to the extreme left. We go even more to the extreme right than the previous extreme right guy. It just happens over and over again. I'm not truly worried about Trump. I think I'm more worried about the next president as long as Trump doesn't get a mandate in the midterms. And I said the most likely way that's going to happen is if the Democrats are just so fed up with the election system that that a lot of them refuse to participate. That's a real possibility. I remember the failed casino, not going to say Biden was good. But yeah, Biden was a goddamn zombie. Obama kind of ruined stuff too. How the hell he puts companies. Yeah. Obama did all kinds of evil shit. Like, it's actually insane. We got an ad in 10 seconds, so I'm going to watch the rest of the video, and then we'll commentate after the ad.
For a lot of that. They've pushed past that, and they've said, yes, he might have made mistakes, but he's trying to be better. He is going to get this country back on track, and I'm choosing to believe in him. I mean, think about Tulsi. Think about RFK Jr. These two former Democrats who still, to this day, do not share a lot of the traditional conservative values, but are doing very important work. And we've all gotten on board with them, and we are trusting them to work with Trump and help lead our country in a good direction. These people have all been welcomed with open arms. There will be growing pains for all of this. But we also cannot simply become what we just spent the last 10 years criticizing, doing daily shows to bring people over to the other side, to show them that they were wrong, to expose the corruption, and then be angry and troll them because they weren't right all along. It literally is cognitive dissonance that makes no sense. We can't build a platform on free speech and then tell people what they can and can't speak about because of their track record or because of what they believed 4 years ago. Like, that's not morally or philosophically consistent, and it's also just not right. It's not a healthy path for us to go down. We are at an incredibly pivotal point in our culture right now, and we cannot get complacent or get messy or get morally inconsistent just because we won a singular election. That means we actually have to lean in more. We have to be better and make sure that we stay on a right path, because if not, we could literally lose all of this and self-implode because of the toxicity, because we got lazy and fell into the same traps that destroyed the left. We have to be self-aware, and we have to be better.
That was mildly infuriating. I can't wait for the next one.